Hello everyone, we're going to start looking at Chapter 1, Part 1, Nouns and Pronouns. So if you'll join me on page 93, and you'll want to have something to take notes with, so your book over on one side and your paper over on the other, and we're just going to go through the chapter bit by bit, and then we'll try some practice at the end of each chapter, so I think, or actually each section. So follow along with me here. Stop the video as you need to stop and do a practice and check it and so forth. Just stop the tape. Okay, so on page 93 you see in red we have nouns, so that's the first big section we're going to take a look at. This character over here, by the way, is Nancy Noun, and she becomes more important in the next chapter that we're going to do, but I wanted to at least introduce her here. Well, we know that a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea, but you might not have known that there are a lot of different kinds of nouns, and you see them listed here. By the way, ignore my cat in the background. When I talk, he thinks he's got to. Singular and plural nouns: possessive, common and proper, compound, concrete, abstract, common, proper, and collective. So that sounds more complicated than it is. It's really pretty simple. Singular nouns are going to speak to or identify something that is single, singular, and plural will indicate something that is more than one. For instance, girl or girls. Pretty easy. But you can look over on page 94 and you should be able to tell which is a plural and well, these are all singular. Actually, in the first practice they're asking you to write the plural form. You certainly don't have to do that because I think you probably know what those would be. Possessive nouns. Now here's where we get into a little bit of more complicated grammar, realizing where you put the apostrophe when you're looking when you're trying to form a possessive noun. So take a close look there on page 94 at where the apostrophe S would go, or S apostrophe, and make sure that you review that. The practice on page 95 would be a good one to try here. And when you're trying a practice, I suggest that you try the first 3 of each practice, check it, and see how you do. And if you feel that you're really solid, move on. You don't have to do all 10. But if you do 3, and then if you miss 1 or 2, maybe do the next 3, and so on until you until you feel solid. And if at any point you don't understand some particular part, then come ask me. Compound nouns, and you see we have some that are written as they're hyphenated, and some are not. Some are what they call closed, which means it's like 2 words put together, like folk singer, headlight, postmaster. And so you see that demonstrated for you on page 95. Concrete and abstract. Concrete is something that you could touch, that is a solid thing, and an abstract is like an idea or a quality. Turning to page 96, common nouns, proper nouns. Again, you can read those for yourself. Page 96 is a little practice, and I would advise to stop here on page 96. Again, try the first 3 of the practice, check it, and see how well you're understanding what you've read here in these pages. Page 97, collective nouns. And the interesting thing about collective nouns is that they can refer to they can be talking about something in the singular sense or in the plural sense. So you, as a writer, need to decide how you mean that noun. For instance, if you're talking about the jury, as you see here at the bottom of 97, are you talking about the jury as a body, as one entity, or are you talking about all of the individual members? You can indicate how you're thinking about it by the verb that you choose to go with it. The jury is ready, or the jury are comparing. Usually these nouns, though, are singular. They take a singular verb most of the time. On page 98, it's just a matter of identifying those collective nouns. So hopefully at this point you're pretty solid on nouns, the types of nouns. Again, it looks like a long list, but they're pretty simple as you go through there. There's the indication to practice, page 96. Now let's take a look at the pronouns. This is Percy pronoun, and again we'll meet him more in the next unit. But a pronoun is simply going to take the place of a noun. A pronoun has to have an antecedent. That means we have to clearly recognize what that noun is standing in for. Usually it's the pronoun is standing in for the noun that is closest to it. Don't start off a question response, an essay, or even a paragraph with a pronoun. We can break the paragraph rule later, but right now let's stick with it. Pronouns, don't even start a paragraph with a pronoun, because the antecedent has to be very, very clear. So you wouldn't start off a question with, he went with Gandalf on an adventure. Well, you can hope that your reader guesses who you mean, but maybe they won't, and so the antecedent has to be clear. So you see that discussed for you on page 98. Different types of pronouns. Boy, there's a long list there. And so what you'll want to do at this section, again, write down each one of these words and a brief description and example as you go through from pages 99, reading carefully, stopping to do the first 3 of each practice and checking them. Then we're going to go all the way through. Let's see, it stops on, I believe, page 105. And on page 105, you're going to see some practice. This, I would advise you to do all of these, all 10, and check it. And then you'll know that you've got a strong basis in nouns and pronouns. So good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.